We usually don't start a review of a new car from the back seat, but this car is special. After a gap of almost a year and a half, Kia has launched the facelifted version of the 4th generation Carnival MPV in India. MPV, limousine, recreational vehicle, the Carnival dons many hats, and rightly so. A lot of things have changed with the car. It's grown marginally bigger. There is a much longer equipment list. There's a lot more finesse, is what Kia says, to justify the higher price tag, close to 75 lakh on road. So is it worth all the hype? Let us find out. Welcome to Car and Bike. Before we go any further, do subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and do hit the bell notification icon to get all the details from the world of Car and Bike. So let me quickly run you through the external changes on the new Carnival. The overall length of the vehicle has increased marginally, so has the wheelbase. Most of the other dimensions remain more or less the same. It still sits on the same size 18-inch wheels. On the side though, they've additionally given it a garnish along the C-pillar. The doors still are the sliding types. It can be remotely operated as well, either by the driver or by the passenger from inside. They've added a new footboard, which is for convenience, will help short people get in more easily. At the front, you see a more enhanced version of the Tiger Nose grille. It looks sleek. They've given it a bit of an SUV stance, so the bonnet is longer and it's raised a bit. The star map LED headlamps you can see running across, almost like a handlebar moustache, and that is something that you also see at the rear with the tail lamps. From the rear too, the hatch gives it a SUV sort of look. It's nice and sleekly done, and they've tried to have different colors as well. You can see the 4 skid plates at the front and rear. There's a Limousine Plus badging on the hatch, and that means this is the top variant, but the only variant of the Carnival on sale, and it's very possible that they can launch the low variants pretty soon. Now, usually for any 3-row car, the biggest disadvantage is that there is never enough luggage room once the 3rd row seat is up. But not in the Kia Carnival. As you can see for yourself, there is ample room for 2 to 3 suitcases right here, even with the seats folded all the way up. Putting it down is a manual process. What you need to do is push it down. The good thing is there is a 60-40 split and it goes all the way down, so it gives you enough loading area with 4 passengers. But even if you have more passengers, there is always enough room for your luggage. The Carnival has many use purposes. Internationally, it is more of a personally driven car. But in India, what we have seen is it's mainly chauffeur driven. But nevertheless, if you were to drive the Carnival, how is it? Well, it comes with a 2.2 litre common rail diesel engine, which is same as what was sold before. Only difference is now it is tuned to meet the BS6 emission norms. Secondly, the transmission is an 8-speed automatic torque converter, and power goes to the front wheels only. There is no all-wheel drive version of the Carnival anywhere in the world, so India won't get it either. So this powertrain combination is very similar to the one we had with the previous generation model, and the previous one drove effortlessly. This too is no different. It drives pretty much the same. For the record, the power from this engine is around 190 brake horsepower and 441 Newton meters of torque. Now it sounds like a lot, but this is a big car. It is a heavy car, so it's not very quick off the blocks. But if you were to floor it, which I'm trying to do now, it builds speed rather instantly, and it's pretty regal. It almost feels calm and composed, but it is managing to build speed pretty easily. I'm already touching 100, which is the speed limit on this road. And I'm not sure if you notice it, the NVH levels on this car have been really improved. There is nothing in terms of vibration, and the noise is pretty muted, not much wind noise either. A major change in the driving compared to the previous version is that the power steering has gone from hydraulic to electric now. But it feels heavy, when you want to, especially when speed builds. It's light when the speed is less. So it's a nice combination to have. In a straight line, the Carnival drives like a tank, feels very calm, it feels very composed. If you were to do some quick lane changes, which I'm going to try now, there is a bit of body roll, but it's hardly noticeable. I think the long wheelbase and the way the suspension has been tuned is pretty spot on. It comes with McPherson strut at the front and a multi-link rear suspension, independent rear suspension. Ride is absolutely pliant. It's just beautiful. From a driver's point of view, the visibility is great, not just at the front, but even at the side. The mirrors are pretty handy. At the rear too, it's not too bad. You also get an 11-inch heads-up display. Apart from the two 12.3-inch screens which are in front of me on the dashboard, it looks like one curved display unit, but is actually two. 12.3 for the instrument cluster and 12.3 for the infotainment. The interface reminds you of most of the other Kia cars, so it's pretty similar in that sense. But still, this feels different than any other Kia car when it comes to driving. So if you're not sitting behind but you're driving the car, trust me, it's not a bad deal. And if you're sitting behind, I'm sure your chauffeur will bless you. Now, Kia hasn't given the ground clearance of this car, but we reckon the Carnival has a ground clearance of around 180, which is okay for regular roads, but not so okay if there are high speed breakers or really bad roads. Although the ride is fine, but there is a possibility that it may bottom out, especially with load. The car comes with disc brakes all round, and topping is quite confident. Definitely there is no twitching, and the composure that you get normally when it's driving on high speeds is the same when it is put under braking. A major difference between the earlier Carnival and this new one is the introduction of ADAS, and on this it comes with level 2 ADAS with as many as 23 features. So it gets front collision, it gets adaptive cruise control, there is lane assist, there is even steering assist which can steer the wheels by itself for a certain period of time. But there is a warning that asks you to intervene. Adaptive cruise control is great on the highway, especially if you're feeling lazy and it's a long journey. However, while it can detect vehicles, what it cannot detect is a very Indian problem, which is speed breakers on the road. And I don't think any ADAS of any company has tuned it to that level yet. It also comes with blind spot monitor. And overall, if you're on the highway, the ADAS features are really handy in keeping you safe. Now this is the best seat in the house for the Carnival, which is the second row on the left side. Now the USP of this seat, unlike the previous edition, is that it has a relaxation mode which allows you to recline the seat, push it further behind, and also adjust the footrest for a perfect business class sort of experience. Apart from that, a lot of space behind, and everything has improved in terms of room. The only thing that hasn't changed is possibly the legroom, but I'm not complaining because this has to be one of the most spacious second rows that you can get in the Indian car market, especially in a vehicle this size. Now this comes with only 2 plus 3 7-seater combination for now, and they haven't released the other combinations so far. Apart from that, at the rear you get roof AC vents, which is great, and I think the cooling even in the regular mode is quite enough for a regular usage. The only issue is something that was there in the previous car as well, and they haven't changed it, which is the controls for the AC at the rear is on the far side from this passenger seat, which is like the most important passenger seat. Apart from that, a lot of handy features such as sun blinds, which is a great touch. There is dual sunscreen, one at the front and one also at the rear. There are bottle holders in the center armrest, and there is a charging socket as well. Now for those who use their phone, don't worry, there are 2 USB charging points for every row of seats in the Carnival. For the second row, the USB charging point is embedded into the backrest of the front seat. Apart from that, door controls also on the B pillar here, and that's pretty handy. And to get in and out for easier ingress and egress, there are also door handles. And more importantly, the floor is absolutely flat. Additionally, it also has seat ventilation, which was not there for the second row passengers in the previous version. Now let us see how it is on the move. Time to belt up. Driver, gaadi chalao. And as you would have seen when we started, the seat belt is fixed onto the seat and not the C-pillar. This makes it easier for the passenger to belt up. You can hardly feel the speed bumps. The suspension is tuned for a great ride quality without making it very choppy. So easily one of the most comfortable, spacious, chauffeur-driven vehicles that you can get. Seats, of course, are pretty plush. They can be manually adjusted. It's a combination of manual and power adjustment. It's not totally power adjustable. The movement to the front or the rear or to the side can be done manually. However, the backrest can be adjusted with switches which are there on the seats. So if you are being chauffeur driven in the city or even long journeys, the Carnival has to be one of the cars that should be top of the list. It's one of the plushest and best cars to be chauffeur driven. Now, one big advantage for a car like the Carnival, the size of a Carnival, is that it has a third row which is actually usable, and I'll show you just how much. In fact, earlier the Carnival also came with 4 rows of seats, which might have been a little too much, but this one within the Limousine Plus version has 3 rows. Frankly, the best way to enter is through the center, where you can even increase the width of the passage right here. And the third row, well, there is enough hip room for 3 passengers. Shouldn't be a problem, especially for average size passengers. The headroom seems to be just about fine. I am 5'8", it's okay for me. Maybe tall passengers may have an issue. Under thigh support is not there, of course, and it's not expecting too much from a car of this size to have a third row seat with enough under thigh support. That apart, it has 2 USB charging ports. There are AC vents at the rear. No controls, they can only be controlled by the second row passengers. In terms of space, it is much more spacious than the previous version. The only thing that hasn't changed is the headroom, which is exactly the same as the previous generation car. Similarly, for the second row seats, the space in general has increased. However, what has not changed is the amount of legroom that it offers. So that's the all-new Kia Carnival for you. In its latest version, it definitely has gone up a notch, not just in terms of design, but in terms of aspirational value, and also the fact that it's much more rounded and has a lot more finesse, both inside out. Of course, it's not without its quirks, and maybe it could have got some more features in terms of better powered seats for all the 3 rows than what it gets for this price. But the biggest advantage of the Carnival for Kia and also for customers is that it operates in a very sweet spot. The pricing of 64 lakhs ex-showroom is a bit on the higher side, no doubt, but there is very little competition for it and nothing clearly above it or below it to offer as much car that the new Kia Carnival can offer. The pricing makes it a bit more exclusive. Also, the amount of units that Kia will be able to get for India will ensure that the exclusivity stays with a few. If you've liked this video, do share it with family and friends, and don't forget to continue watching Car and Bike.